What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. This here is Legitical Response. We cover political news. We keep you up to date and keep you informed with everything that the government does, or at least that's what we try to do. We cover as much as we can. We try to give you some stuff that the mainstream narrative machine isn't going to cover. But what's up, everybody? How the hell's your day going, by the way? Yep. We doing all right over here. As you notice, I got a hoodie on, so we had a cold front blow through. After being hot like summertime for the past 2 weeks, yeah, we finally got a little bit of cool off, but it ain't gonna last. Not in Louisiana, that's for damn sure. If you don't like the weather here, just wait 5 minutes. It'll change. That's what we say all the time because that's kind of how it is. But what's up, everybody? We talking about politics today. There was a story come out. I saw it and I read it and I'm like, oh, this is Marxist. We got to cover this because this is BS. But yeah, Marxism seems to be growing for some reason, and I don't understand Marxism whatsoever. Why would you want to play identity politics all the time? Why put people in specific groups? You alienate some people, while at the same time, you pit certain groups against other groups for no apparent reason. I know I said groups with a T. Yeah, I do that sometimes. I cannot talk to save my life sometimes, folks, but that seems to be what I do on this channel. I just run my mouth, but hey, everybody slips up from time to time. Even Joe Biden does, right? Who is on top of his game. He is at his best he's ever been, right? Oh man, MSNBC infuriates me sometimes, y'all. But yeah, we're talking about Marxism, and, in my opinion, Marxism goes hand in hand with communism. If you're a communist, you're probably a Marxist as well, but, because communists love to put people in groups also. But this Marxism, I really don't understand it. It's an extreme ideology, and it seems to be so pervasive that it's getting into politics. Politicians are like, hey, what are we doing here? Why do we not have enough women in politics? Huh? Let's get into it right quick. Female representation remains low in U.S. state houses, particularly Democrats in the South. Yeah, of course, this is going to be normal because the South is predominantly Republican these days because we tried to, I guess, make up for our history in getting rid of racism, and Democrats are racist as hell. They may come off like, oh, we're not the racist ones, right? But yeah, they're the ones that are the racists. If you look at their policies and you look at what they do, not what they say, you'll see that clearly when you take a step back. For any Democrats out there, yeah, our Democratic politicians are insane. They're all constantly yelling about the little guy while making policy and laws that hurt the little guy. Just look at our southern border, folks. That's all you got to do. Look at our southern border. Democrats love to raise taxes. They love to make the government much, much bigger and much more bloated than what it needs to be. I don't know anybody who has ever been overjoyed for a government agent of any sort to show up to your house. Do you get excited when the EPA shows up to your house? I know the EPA doesn't really show up to your house, but farmers have to deal with this. Why? Because the EPA has imposed their climate agenda on farmers that have drainage ditches that, oh, these are navigable waters. Now we have to tax you and do all this other stuff and regulate the crap out of you so you can no longer be a farmer. You can no longer make money doing this. Yeah, it's absolutely insane what some of these people do. And nobody loves a government agent showing up to your house. I don't care who it is. You might say, oh, yeah, we need government. Government fixes everything. No, government fixes nothing. If the government would not step in, in my eyes, the government is there to uphold the Bill of Rights. Make the laws. We got to play by the laws, right? I say that all the time. Democrat Kayla Young and Republican Patricia Rucker frequently clash on abortion rights and just about everything else in West Virginia's legislature. But they agree on one thing. Too few of their colleagues are women, and it's hurting the state. there are expectations to every single rule, but I think in general, men do kind of see this as their field, said Rutger, part of GOP's Senate supermajority that passed one of the nation's strictest abortion bans while young. The lone Democrat woman elected to the House opposed it. Have you ever stopped to think that maybe in some of these areas, women don't want to be in politics? Have you ever stopped to think about that? No, Marxists don't think about stuff like that. They see a disparity, and because when you have a disparity like that, there's no one thing you can point to for the cause of that disparity. So normally a Marxist is going to generally default to the one thing that they can, the only thing that they can default to. Oh, it's the patriarchy, right? We have a majority of white people in this country, and the patriarchy says that men are in charge. So, we got to default to it's the white man doing this. They don't want women in politics. Have you ever stopped to think, like I said, maybe women in these areas just don't want to be in politics? That's something I never understood. Like with this DEI crap, right? Oh, we don't have enough black people working for us. Well, have you thought that maybe that you don't have enough black people because you're not getting enough black people applying to your positions? And you're not getting enough black people applying to these positions because maybe they don't want to work there? Have you ever thought about that? No, Marxists don't think about that. They just think that, oh, okay, it's the white man keeping the black man from working at this one specific place, or from doing this, or from doing that. Because there's no, when you have disparities like that, like I said, there's no one thing you can actually point to as to the cause. And if you do actually come up with something for that, they're going to default to, oh, it's the white man, because that sounds better. That's a more emotional argument, right? You can get people behind that. Oh, it's the white man keeping you down, them freaking bastards. And then we're going to go after that when it's actually something totally different. You got to stop sometimes, back up, and look at what in the hell is really going on here, right? You got conservatives. They like to conserve stuff. It's been majority men in politics for a long time. Why? Because we used to think a certain way. We used to think it's only men that can be in politics. So maybe some people still think that way. Maybe some women don't want to go and fight with other people about policy issues and what laws you should make up. Some people don't like to do that. But let's keep going, y'all. Nearly 130 years since the first 3 women were elected to state legislative offices in the U.S., women remain massively underrepresented in state legislatures. In 10 states, women make up less than 25% of their state's legislature, according to Rutgers Center for American Women in Politics. West Virginia is at the very bottom of that list, just having 16 women in its 134-member legislature, or just under 12%. That's compared with Nevada, where women occupy just over 60% of state legislative seats. Similar low numbers can be found in the nearby southern states of Mississippi, South Carolina, Tennessee, and Louisiana. It's absolutely wild to know that more than 50% of the population of West Virginia are women, and sometimes I'm the only woman that's on a committee, period, said Young. Currently, there are only women in the House Artificial Intelligence Committee and was one of just 2 on the House Judiciary Committee when it greenlighted the state's near-total abortion ban. The numbers of women filling legislative seats across the U.S. have remained low despite women registering and voting at higher rates than men in every presidential election since 1980 and across virtually every demographic, including race, education level, and socioeconomic status. For the last 3 decades, voters have demonstrated a willingness to cast ballots for women, but they didn't have the opportunity to do so because women weren't running, said Jennifer Lawless, the chair of politics department at the University of Virginia. Now, I can totally understand why you don't have women on the Artificial Intelligence Committee. Men dominate technology, right? Women are not prone to getting into that. Goes back to something Jordan Peterson said, right? Women are more focused around people and men are more focused around things, objects. AI is an object. It's not a people. You know, women tend to vote emotionally. That's why they get behind things like abortion, because the Democrats have brainwashed people into thinking that if you don't have the right to kill your child while it's in your belly, right? They call it women's rights. You have the right to choose. Right. But they leave out the rest of that part where you have the right to choose to kill your child. Yeah, I can see how some people might think that and be like, yeah, let's not get behind that. Abortion, to me, you know, it's one of those things. I used to be all for it because I got behind the right to choose. Oh, yeah, you should be able to choose what the hell you want to do. But, you know, when you have a kid, you realize something, that's a human life, okay? And if you extinguish that life, you are now responsible for the murder of a human life. Just because that person hasn't been born yet doesn't mean it's not a person. But Democrats have brainwashed people into thinking that for some reason, and I don't personally understand it. Even when you have all of the evidence plopped out right there in front of you, you still have people that think, oh, it's just a fetus. It's just a clump of cells. No, it's not. You know, if you want to go down that route, then all we are is a clump of cells. Prove me wrong down in the comments section. The gender gap in political ambition is just as large now as it was then, said Lawless, adding that women are much less likely to get recruited to running for office or think they're qualified to run in what they perceive as a hostile political environment. And those running in southern conservative states, still mostly Democratic women, data show, aren't winning as those states continue to overwhelmingly elect Republicans. In 2022, 39 women ran as their party's nominee for state legislative seats in West Virginia, and 26 were Democrats. Only 2 of the Democratic candidate won, compared to 11 out of 13 of the Republicans. Well, maybe that's because, like I said, there are more people that love down here in the South that want to get rid of all that racist crap that the Southern people used to be like. Get rid of the Democratic Party. Yeah, we're mostly Republicans nowadays, right? Because the Republican Party seems to be the party of logic. Although, you know, that's not to say that the Republican Party isn't corrupt. Because, yeah, the Republican Party is very corrupt, just like the Democratic Party. They're all corrupt. However, you know, we tend to vote with logic versus voting with emotion, like the Democrats do, and like some of these Marxist assholes do. Yeah, I'm gonna call them assholes, because why the hell not? Because you do not have the right to place me in a box with these other people. I'm sorry, I am nothing like these other people. I am nothing like anybody else. Debbie Walsh, director of Rutgers Center for American Women in Politics, said there's more money, infrastructure, and support for recruiting and running Democratic female candidates. The Republican Party often shies away from talking about what is labeled or dismissed as identity politics, she said. Yeah. No surprises there, because we don't want to place people in a box, because we understand that individual liberty is of the utmost importance when it comes to stuff like this. So placing somebody in a box takes away their individual liberties, right? You're now in a box and you cannot come outside of that box. Republicans don't tend to do that, because we know now you're just disparaging them from climbing outside of that box and becoming something else. It's a belief in a kind of meritocracy, and the best candidate will rise. And if it's a woman, great. They don't say, we don't want women, but if it's a man, that's fine too, she said. There's no sort of value in and of itself seen in the diversity. Right. There is no value. Because diversity is going to come as diversity grows, right? It's called natural evolution of things, right? If our diversity in this country continues to rise, then you will continually see a rise in diversity of everything. because eventually you're going to have people going into these fields and doing these things. That is called natural progression. It is very logical to think that. It is very illogical to think that just because you don't have enough women in politics means that there's some kind of disparity forcing women out of politics. No, that's not what that means whatsoever. It just means that, hey, maybe there's women that don't want to be in politics. Larissa Martinez, founder and president of Women's Public Leadership Network, one of only few right-leaning U.S. organizations solely supporting female candidates, said identity politics within the GOP is a big hurdle to her work. Part of her organization's slogan is, "We are pro-women without being anti-man." And that is something that, yes, you can be pro-women and all for women's rights without being anti-man. That's something I don't get with these Marxists also. Why does it have to be that if you do place people in a box, all of a sudden these people that you placed over here in this box are bad for some reason? I don't get that. Why does different boxes have to mean that, because you have more people in this box over here, that these people in this box is oppressing this smaller box over here? Do you have data to back that up? Do you have any proof of that? Because if there is no proof of that, then you cannot make that claim logically and get away with it and just make people believe it. Your emotional arguments aren't going to work on everybody, because not everybody is so tied to emotion that we're just going to outright believe what you say. I'm sorry, you're not going to put me, because I'm a white male, into an oppressor box. I am a broke individual that has never oppressed anybody except for my child. Yeah, of course children need a little bit of oppression because they'll run wild. They'll go absolutely crazy. They need to be put in their place, in other words, sometimes. You cannot just allow your kid to do whatever the hell he wants to do. We need discipline in our children, and which is honestly something that we're getting away from as parents in this country. We need to kind of get back into, don't spare the rod to spoil the child type of thing. But that's all I got for this one. I want y'all to let me know what y'all think about all this down in the comment section. Do you think that because there's not enough women in politics in the South, that means that they're somehow being oppressed, that they're somehow being discouraged from getting into politics and running for office? Or do you think that maybe, because they're mostly conservatives, that they believe in traditional roles and that maybe they don't want to be in politics. Maybe they want to be at home with their children, raise their children, and be the basis, the base foundation for their family, because that's how I see a homemaker, if you will, right? Like, my wife works, but she is still the base of the family. She takes care of most of the stuff for my son. I'm there too, but she does a lot of it because she wants to, not because she has to. That's just how she feels her role needs to be filled, and she does that outright. She doesn't do it because she is forced to by me or by anybody else. She does it because she wants to. And I play my role as well. I make the majority of the wealth for our family, and I do all the outside chores. She does the inside chores. And we're pretty happy. You know what I'm saying? We have our problems, but we're pretty happy. And I don't see a problem with that. You think placing her into a box is a good thing? I don't think that's a good thing. She is in her own box, willing to be in her role and do what in the hell she wants to do. But I've ran on long enough, y'all. I want y'all to let me know what y'all think down in the comment section. That's all I got for this one. Y'all try to have a good day and be positive. Peace.